Hello, folks. Dustin Zarni here, Democratic Elections Commissioner for Onondaga County, and welcome to Commissioner in the Car. Now on Mondays, I'm starting a new content schedule here on, I guess on DustinZarni.com, but really on all of my social platforms. And I guess that's what we're going to start off with. But the main point of this podcast we'll get to in a little bit is what's happening in the legislature regarding elections, including funding as the budgets are coming out, and elections commission and the village elections. But right at the top, let's talk about, I'm sure all dozens of you that watch this or listen to this are really worried about, but we are now doing a different content schedule. I've really been struggling over the last couple of months to kind of keep up with the schedule that I had last year, and I'm trying something a little different. Let's see if we can continue the same content that I've been bringing, but doing it on a little different schedule. So I'm doing a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule for my 3 weekly content that I put out, and that is my Commissioner in a Car, which you're watching today on Monday. That's my Facebook Live / podcast of election news of the week in New York and Onondaga County. And then my next then Wednesdays is the weekly wonk. You may remember that I used to call them the Wonky Wednesdays because they were released on Wednesdays when I first started back in 2020, but I had a little trouble keeping up with that schedule, mainly because of, there's a lot of reasons, but I think I've adjusted that, and some planning is going to help me out on that. And so those will be released on Wednesdays, and then on Fridays will be my Zoom with Zarni. And that's my interview show. I did do a weekly walk this weekend to kind of get back into the swing of things. I hadn't done one all of the month of February, mainly because I was on vacation and a few other things were happening, but I'm back and I'm committed. March is here and we're 8 months away from the election, a little bit less now from the general election. I'm committed to my weekly schedules of my content. So I did a weekly wonk, finally doing a look back at DustinZarni.com, which is year 2 of DustinZarni.com. It's just a small little thing that, part of what I do with DustinZarni.com is biographical in a sense, cataloging, just kind of, putting out there the things that I accomplished in the year, even if it's only for myself, to put it out there. That's what that article is about. So enjoy it if you like. I'm pretty proud of the content that I put out over the last, in 2023, considering it was a lower election year, and I'm proud of the traffic and support I've received. And then I'm doing a Commissioner in Car today. This next Wednesday, I plan on doing a preview of the village elections. Fayetteville and Baldwinsville are having village elections on Tuesday, March 19th, and I will be talking about those, which are now a little bit over a week away. And so there are also village elections in Minoa and Marcellus and Fabius, but there are no competition in those elections. And as traditionally, I don't really look at in the weekly wonk places where there are no competition. So, and then, and then on Friday, I have my Zoom with Zarni with the Baldwinsville village candidates, getting ready for the village election. And this is the brighter Baldwinsville slate, which are not all Democrats. And in fact, they're not running on the Democratic line, but they asked to be interviewed, and I wanted to get them out there because they're talking about their proposal to move the elections from March to November and how things are kind of weird out there in Baldwinsville right now. So I think you'll like all that content that is coming to you. So the main point of this podcast is to talk about one-house budgets. Today or tomorrow, the Senate and Assembly will be releasing their one-house budgets. And what does that mean? Well, as you know, a few weeks ago, Governor Hochul released her executive budget, and that started the budget process for the legislature. Now, there's three partners, the executive branch, the governor, the Senate, and the Assembly that all have to come to agreement on the budget and pass it by April 1st. So over the last few weeks, the Senate and the Assembly had budget hearings, which I was a part of on February 6th. I was one of those hearings. I testified on the need to fund local boards of elections. Now me and thousands of other people have given input into this budget. Agencies from every form of government have requested money. And now the one house budgets are going to be our first real look at what the priorities are for the legislature and in each house of the legislature, which I'm sure will be different in many ways. So the Senate budget and Assembly budget should be released sometime today or tomorrow. And so on my Friday Friday Zoom with Zarni, my intro, I'll talk a little bit about what happened this week. But I'm hopeful that money for poll book replacement that was in the governor's executive budget is also in the one house budgets, and money for aid to localities to give personnel support to the local boards of elections in the presidential year will be in the legislature budgets, which was not in the executive. So here's hoping. We'll see. Now, one piece of news that is very promising is the New York Senate, which has always been very great about passing a lot of bills, election-related bills, whether I support them or not. They're just very voluminous in their legislation. They are having another committee hearing. This is their second one this year, and they're going to pass about a dozen bills that are, or at least there's a dozen bills on the agenda, and 4 or 5 of them are bills that are part of not just the Democratic Caucus of Commissioners' priorities, but the overall New York State Legislature commissioner have priorities on there, and that's what we are calling our top 3 election reform bills: the minimum staffing bill, the 4-year term bill, and the full-time commissioner bill. These are our 3 bills that have our highest priority, and we believe will change elections for the better by strengthening the boards of elections throughout New York State. I'm really hopeful they're going to pass, and then eventually pass the entire Senate, and then it's up to the Assembly. It is my understanding that the Assembly is not really looking to do anything until after the budget is passed, and then they'll have April and May and the early part of June to pass some of these laws, hopefully some of the laws that the Senate has passed, so they can be sent up to the governor for her signature. I'm actually, ironically, going to be in Albany tomorrow. It's one of my informational days, and I just happen to be there when they're holding this hearing, so I'm going to be going down to the hearing to watch and and thank them if they pass the bills that we need. I can't wait for that to take place. Then now we have village elections. Village elections are happening a week from tomorrow. The village elections, as I said at the top of the program, are the villages of Fayetteville, Minoa, and Baldwinsville. Those 3 villages are run by the Onondaga County Board of Elections, so I know a lot more about them. Then there are villages in Marcellus and Fabius who are holding their own elections. Now, villages get to choose whether they want to have the Board of Elections run their election or have their village clerks run their elections. They also get to choose when their village elections are, March, June, or in November with everything else. So we have 3 villages that have chosen to have their elections in March, which have traditionally been where their elections are, that have chosen also to have the Board of Elections run their election. and 2 villages that haven't had their elections in March decide to keep running their own elections. And when they're running their own elections, they have their own paper ballots, they have their own absentee system. They do it all nuts to bolts themselves. They don't even borrow our equipment anymore. Sorry, I had a little technical difficulty there. It looks like part 1 cut off, so it's on the website. I'll merge these all together when I'm done recording. But we're into part 2 of the podcast, and as I said, the village elections are run by the village clerks in some of them, and by us. We have 15 or so villages in Onondaga County, and right now, 5 of them hold their elections in November. The rest hold them in either March or most of them hold them in March, and 2 of them hold them in June. So 8 of them hold them in March, 2 of them hold them in June, 5 of them in November. But there are ballot questions on 2 of the villages this year, and 1 in June that might be moving their village elections to November. The village of Baldwinsville in March has ballot propositions, 2 dueling propositions, one to move their elections from March to June, and 1 to move it from March to November, and then a proposition in Fayetteville to move it from March to November. So, and then the village of Liverpool is planning on putting up a proposition on their ballot in June to move their elections from June to November the next time they hold elections. So there's some change going about. What do you need to know if you're in these villages and want to participate? First, there is still time to get an early vote by mail ballot. The law says 15 days before the election, you are guaranteed to get a ballot if you request it. But at the Onondaga County Board of Elections, we continue to send them out up until Saturday, really. We will continue to mail out absentee ballots for anybody who, wants an absentee ballot. And if you request it online, or if you request it, by paper, or you can have somebody pick it up for you as well at the Board of Elections. Go to onvote.net and request that absentee. If you're requesting for a village election, request the general portion, the general election, because village elections are general elections, and you'll get an absentee ballot for this village election. And you'll also get one for the November election. If you want to opt out for that at a later time, you can do so. Now, there is no early voting for village elections. Normally at this time, we'd be in the thick of early voting, but there is no early voting for village elections, so that are held in March and June. If they were held in November, there would be. But if they're held in March and June, then there is no early voting, but there are, poll sites on election day. Baldwinsville is at the Baldwinsville Village Hall. Minoa is at the Minoa Municipal Building, and Fayetteville is at the Fayetteville Village Hall. If you're interested in the other ones, or the hours of operation, I believe Baldwinsville and Minoa are both noon to 9, and Fayetteville is 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. But you can get all that information at onvote.net, going to the village election page. And that is what's going on with the village elections. Obviously, you had to have registered to vote 10 days before the election. We have passed that. That was Friday. Because we would have had to receive that registration. If you go to onvote.net, you can double check your registration, make sure that it was processed. You can be in any party. And not always do village candidates run on party lines. Sometimes they run on non-party lines. Like in Baldwinsville and Minoa, the candidates are running not on the party lines. So they're not involved in the party, or either party. But in Minoa, there's no competition for the trustee and mayoral candidates. There's nobody contesting those. In Baldwinsville, there are dueling slates of village electors, and there's a hot competition there to run the village on the board of trustees. There is no competition for the mayoral candidate. And in Fayetteville, there is a very hot race for Mayor Mark Olson, who was the mayor of Fayetteville for 20 plus years, decided not to run again because he is a legislator, and the county ethics provision actually barred him from holding both office. One of the few things that the county ethics provisions had done over the last couple of years, because for a while mayors of East Syracuse and Fayetteville have been able to be legislators while they continue to be mayors, but that's no longer the case. So now there's a vacuum, and there are two candidates, Mike Smalls and Sarah Gibbons, who are running for Sarah Bollinger, not Sarah Gibbons, who are running for village mayor. There are Democrats running in the Fayetteville village. In fact, there are more Democrats that are actually enrolled Democrats running. I believe Mike Smalls is a registered Republican, but he's not running on the Republican line. Sarah Bollinger is a registered Democrat and is running on the Democratic line and another line. And then for trustee, there are three candidates, Jane Rice and Dan Kinsella, who are both registered Democrats, but not running on the Democratic line. They're running on their own line. And then Casey Cleary Hemerson, who's a registered Democrat and is running on the on the Democratic line, and it's for 2 seats, not all of the seats. So it's only for, so all three are vying for 2 seats. So that is an interesting development in Fayetteville. And of course, we talked about their propositions as well. And you can look at my last Zoom with Zarni about the Fayetteville issues and what things going on. That was released last Friday. And then again, this Zoom with Zarni on Friday will have the Baldwinsville candidates, and I will also do a weekly wonk on the Baldwinsville and Fayetteville electoral statistics this next Wednesday. So really, that's all I have. Sorry for the technical glitch. I'll try to put all of these together and reload it all up so it's all one podcast on all my different platforms. In the meantime, remember this week, I've started my new content schedule on Monday. I have Commissioner and Card, which I'm doing right now. Wednesday, weekly wonk, Baldwinsville and Fayetteville village candidates, or village elections. Friday, the Baldwinsville village candidates for Brighter Baldwinsville. And then this weekend, I will be releasing some testimony that I gave to the United States Senate. Issue 1, one of the groups that I've been a part of the last couple of years that are doing national issues, asked some of its members of the Face of Democracy to put in some written testimony for the United States Senate, who's holding a hearing tomorrow on administering elections in the 2024 election. So I did a little brief write-up of testimony, and because I believe in transparency, I'll be releasing that on DustinZarni.com, which you can go to and subscribe and get all the information that you need, election news and all my content. You'll get an email when I upload. It's usually something once a day nowadays, but the main content is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it's always free. I pay for it myself. I don't accept ad money. I don't accept outside money. I'm doing it as part of my public information campaign for the Board of Elections. All right. That's all I got. Thank you very much, and enjoy your week. Bye-bye.